Alright, so today I thought I would do a comparison video between Transformers Prime First Edition Cliffjumper and the RID version of Cliffjumper. So now I didn't do individual reviews of either of these guys. There's tons of reviews out there on both of them, so I figured instead of doing just an individual review on the RID version and the FE version, I would just do a straight up comparison video between the two of them. Show you guys the alt modes and the robot modes and the differences between them all in one video instead of having two separate videos for each figure. Now, I've had the RID version since it first came out, actually since it first started popping up in the back rooms of Target stores. Had him pulled with the stock number. This guy, the First Edition version, I just grabbed a couple weeks ago. I was able to get him for what I thought was a good price off of eBay. Wasn't sure if I'd ever be able to get a hold of him because I wasn't wanting to pay the initial asking price for him, but I was able to get him for what I thought was a pretty good price, so I grabbed him, and I'm quite happy that I did. So starting off, here you have them in their vehicle modes. We'll have the First Edition on this side, RID on this side. Right off the bat, you can see some differences. The windshields are different colors. RID is a clear translucent, whereas the First Edition is kind of tinted, which personally, I like the tinted version better than the straight up clear. You can see some junk in the clear one, and the tinted kind of hides that. But I'm also looking at the front. Grab them and pull them up close a little bit. RID, you can see the front grille of the car. His headlights are painted blue, whereas the First Edition appear to be, if you can see that, appear to be translucent blue jewels of sort, which I think is a nice touch instead of just the straight up blue paint. Blue paint doesn't look bad, but between the two, I'd pick this. Also, the color gray on the horns is a little lighter on the RID and a little darker, not a whole lot, but a little bit on the First Edition version. Look at the tops of the cars. Pretty similar, just differences in the panel lining and stuff due to transformations. The transformation for each is different, which I'm sure that you're well aware of from seeing individual reviews of these guys. Now you can see right through the bottom of him if you hold him up like this. But again, if you're holding him, if he's down on the ground, you can't really see that. Not a big deal in my opinion. Going to the roofs. Now, each one has their drawbacks on the roof. RID's got the great big giant hole in the roof for his weapon, and First Edition's got these panel lines, which on mine, and mine came packaged this way, I can't ever seem to get this half flush with the rest of the car, and I don't know why. But anyways, also the paint, this red here seems to be a slightly different shade. Not sure that's coming across on the camera very well, but that seems to be a slightly different shade of red than the rest of the car, which is also kind of strange. But again, not a huge deal in my book. Going to the sides of the cars, RID, rims are painted, nice painted exhaust. Again, a big old ugly hole in the back of the car for his weapon, which I don't care for. It would have been nice if for the Prime figures they had done like they did with the Dark of the Moon figures, and for the Mech Tech ports, given the capability to a little spring-loaded mechanism in there that closes up those holes, which was a very nice touch on the Dark of the Moon, but they didn't add for the Prime figures, which kind of sucks. Side of First Edition. Got the same painted exhaust, painted rims. Wheels look pretty similar. Now you can see a molded in place right here on the side for an Autobot logo. Not painted on this side, but if you come to the other side, it is. It would have been nice if it had been painted on both sides, but at least he has one. Whereas if you look at RID, nothing on this side, and nothing on the side, which sucks. That's been my one big complaint with the RID Deluxe figures, is the lack of faction symbols. That kind of drives me nuts. And then coming to the back of the car, you can see some black paint in here with the silver and the red on RID. And first edition, mainly silver, but you've got some more exhaust down here, which is not present on the RID version. Size-wise, let me angle this up a little bit so you guys can see it a little better when I hold them up. If you guys can tell, the first edition is slightly longer than the RID. Not a whole lot, but just a little bit. Not that big of a deal if you ask me. So there you go. Oh, one more quick thing. The weapon for RID can plug in up here on the roof. And he's got a big old weird cannon looking thing on the roof of his car or on the side of his car. Where is it? Oops, on this side. Not a huge fan of that either configuration. I like the cleaner look of the first edition without the weapon on the car. I'm not going to transform these guys on screen. I'll save some time and do it off screen because I'm sure everyone's seen their transformations many times in the individual video reviews of each of these figures. So I'll take a break, get these guys into the robot modes, and then we'll come back and compare those modes. Alright, and we're back with both of the Cliffjumpers in robot mode, and I'm sure, as you can see right off the bat, this is where the vast majority of the differences between the two figures really shows up. So let's start with the RID version. Here he is. He's not a bad toy, and before I had the first edition I was pretty happy with him. Now though, comparing the two, there's some things that I'm not so happy with, but let's go over. Head sculpt is actually really quite nice. I do like the head sculpt. It does have some nice light piping as well, which you might be able to see on my camera. The chest, as I'm sure we're all aware, is a cheat. This is not actually part of the transformation. It's a separate hidden piece. But it looks okay. It looks okay. The arms are really, really long. I don't like how long the arms are. They look too long. And the elbow joints as well are kind of I mean, they work, but they don't look great in my opinion. Lots of gray on this guy. Gray at the waist, gray at the shoulders, gray up here in the body, gray hands, silver on the knees, which is actually nice. I like the silver knees. I like the silver on the feet. Articulation, head rotates. It'll go up and down a little bit, but not a whole lot because of the stuff around his neck. Shoulders are on a ball joint. They'll go 360. Rotate at the upper bicep, bend at the elbow. The hands are kind of on a sort of ball joint. A little twist at the waist, ball joint at the hips, bend at the knee, and a little bit of movement at the foot as well. Okay, so there you have RID Cliffjumper. Now, let's set him to the side and move on to first edition Cliffjumper. This guy, as you're probably thinking, is much more show accurate in terms of his overall look. The chest is actually part of the transformation, so that's actually the hood of the car from robot mode. The head is looking very nice. I actually like this head a little bit better than the RID version. It also has nice light piping. And instead of all the gray that we had on the RID version, we've got a nice shade of black, which I think looks better and sharper in my opinion, with the addition of the silver highlights, which really makes everything pop. Now, I do wish that his kneecaps were the silver that we had on RID. I think that would have looked good on the first edition. The feet are all black as well. Kind of breaks up all the red down here, like over on RID was all red, but they had the silver toes, which kind of broke up the red as well. So, kind of a wash on both. Hands are black. I like the black hands better. Now the arms don't come off as long and ape-like, really, on first edition as on RID. And maybe that's because the shoulders are angled up more, or maybe they are actually a little bit shorter. Let's see. They might actually be close to the same length. There's not that much of a difference, but the shoulders kind of angle up on our first edition. Articulation, head. Get a little bit of movement with the head, but not a lot because of the neck in here. Kind of hinders that movement. Shoulders on a ball joint. Rotate at the upper bicep. Bend at double jointed elbows. Rotate at the wrist. But it can be kind of difficult to get it to rotate because of the stuff around the wrist. He turns at the waist for transformation, but when you lock this piece in, he's not going to rotate anymore, so no hip articulation. Ball joints at the waist, bend at the knees, and a little bit of foot movement, but that's about all you're going to get. Just some back and forth, and that's mainly due to transformation. Now, weapons. Let's go back to RID. He, as we all know, comes with his giant hammer gun rifle thing. Now the weapon itself is kind of cool. Kind of would have preferred it in black, I think, but that's all right. And he can hold it either like a hammer, or he can hold the peg, and it can be his rifle. Cool, but again, not what he had in the show. First edition, if you come in here and we flip this panel back and rotate, I gotta rotate the wrists. Oh, this is such a pain. Because my fingers, give me 1 second, my fingers don't fit in there very well. There we go. And we rotate out his little triple barrel blaster, which is a very nice touch if you ask me. So, and that is what we saw him have on the show. Personally, I like both weapons. I like this one just because you don't have to worry about keeping up with the weapon, first of all, and it hides perfectly in vehicle mode. No holes on the car to store the weapon or anything, and this is what we saw in the show. At the same time, I do like the rifle. You can get some pretty cool poses out of him with this rifle over here. Like he's, got 2 hands on it and he's picking somebody off, which is really pretty cool. But all in all, I mean, this guy's not a bad toy. He's also easy to get. He's retail price, $12, $13. Not bad. Easier to transform as well. I mean, first edition is not difficult, but this guy is quicker and simpler. If you're going for show accuracy, of course, this is the guy that you want. You want the first edition. No ifs and buts about it, really. That's the one you want. And the price on him has kind of come down a bit over the last month or so. So you should be able to get him reasonably. I got him for about $30 shipped off of eBay. Not bad if you ask me, considering what he was going for a few months ago when we first got word that the first edition guys weren't going to make it. Some of the first edition guys like Cliffjumper, Bulkhead, Optimus weren't going to be released in the States, and you saw prices kind of skyrocket. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Post some comments down below in the comment section. Let me know who you guys prefer. Do you prefer first edition Cliffjumper or RID Cliffjumper? And let me know why. I love to hear what everybody thinks about the two. who they prefer, what they think is better, and the reasoning for it. But there you go. This has been the comparison video for Transformers Prime First Edition Cliffjumper versus RID Cliffjumper. Personally, I prefer this guy, First Edition, over the RID. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate and subscribe, and leave comments below. Let me know who you guys prefer over these two. See you soon.